Nick, mate, I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say the only we support is lager, Greg's, beans and toast. The hell with these woke tossers. Chin up, shoulder back, a couple stellars, and you'll be live again before you know it, Plymouth. All right, let's talk about Nickmercs. Nickmercs. Nicholas Merkinson. That's right. My goat. Or rather, Ron DeSantis' goat. Or he thinks Ron DeSantis is the goat. Anyway, earlier today, Twitch partner Nickmercs was banned. Okay? Like this morning, I guess, or midnight last night at 12:03 a.m. 6/28/24. And a lot of people were like, what the f***, why is this happening? Why did he get banned? Well, it turns out he actually very openly revealed why he got banned. Banned for using the word T-word, I'm not going to say it, on Twitch. Apparently, that's a derogatory term. That's on me. Next time, I'll use mental health disorder. Jake Lucky says, this might surprise some of you, but he's had quite a few rants on trans people for a couple of weeks now. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think Nickmercs understands personally. I don't think he understands personally that he is now absolutely on the turf brain, terminal brain poison. I've talked about this a bit, okay? The normative position, the broad majority's position is that, like, I don't really understand this trans stuff. I don't really think about it. It's kind of weird. I don't get it. This doesn't mean it's the correct position. It's just the position of the population. Everybody understands it. It's like slightly transphobic, right? But for the most part, it's just like, I don't really know. And there's two routes you can go, okay, beyond that. You can either go the route of like, let me investigate what this is about. And then you learn about trans people. You learn that they're just like normal. It's just like, think of it like gay plus, okay? If you're a normie and you've never encountered a trans person and you don't fully understand it, maybe you're a little scared, right? And then you find out about it and you're like, oh, okay, it's whatever. It's just like another type of person. You know what I mean? There's many different types of people out there, right? There's Republicans out there. So you either go on that path and then you don't become a transphobic weirdo, or you lean into the fears that you have, okay? And you look at trans people and you're like, oh my God, this is like undermining everything that I've learned about gender, without any care or consideration to like maybe the things you learned about gender and the social conditioning you have on it is faulty, you know? And you just go, nope, I'm not, society's wrong. I'm not wrong. I cannot be wrong. In my heart of hearts, I know I'm right. And then you start becoming increasingly more and more transphobic until you are more invested in the comings and goings of trans people. You start watching Matt Walsh, right? You start becoming more and more hateful while you don't even realize you're being hateful. You think this is like so unimaginably up that like society doesn't immediately put an end to this nonsense, this trans stuff, right? And ultimately you arrive on what I like to call turf brain, okay? Where you increasingly become more pathologically obsessed with trans people, even though they comprise a minuscule percentage of the population, like a really, really tiny percentage of the population. They occupy increasingly larger parts of your mind. You just can't get them out of your fucking mind. You're like, oh, what? Like, these are just men dressed up like women. Like, I don't understand. You oftentimes don't even realize that there's trans men, for example. You also don't know anything about biology. You don't recognize that there's like intersex people, for example. God forbid you even try to consider that. Your brain is going to explode. And you become increasingly more agitated and you start talking about this, right? You start talking about it all the time. Maybe even you think that you're making a brave position. Like you're taking a stance, you're putting your foot down. Society has to stop with this nonsense. Happens to a lot of people. And it becomes increasingly harder to pull you out of that turf brain once you have like reached terminal velocity of turf brain. Okay. And I think Nick is just slowly but surely going through the steps. Okay. He's slowly but surely going through the steps. And he's at like he's pretty deeply invested in the transphobia stuff at this point, because he went from like, oh, live and live, brother, I don't really care. Like the gay stuff, it wears me out, but like who gives a shit, to like, using the term, the T word, right? I'm not going to say it because technically a slur, and also I don't want to get banned. But he has like increasingly agitated himself to constantly talk about this. This should not occupy your mind at all, okay? Like not even a little bit. To Nickmercs, I say, Nick, brother, there are a million things that happen in the world that you don't understand, okay? This is another one of them. If you obsess this much over any number of those things, like math, for example, or the fact that Spartans were pedophiles, despite the fact that you have them as your logo. Like, there's so much stuff in the world that you don't understand. Every day of the week, things are happening, and you can't make sense of it at all. Why occupy your brain to this degree? Why get this mad? Just leave it alone, brother. Leave it alone. If you can't comprehend it, just leave it alone. Leave trans people alone. Stop talking about trans people. I promise it's good for your career. I promise it's good for your mental health. Like, it's just good across the board. It makes no sense, June is a hard month for conservatives. They're talking about it a little more than usual. Yeah. So that's my take for people that are just like not realizing that they're entering this like dangerous area. Dangerous in the sense that it's like not just dangerous for your financial prospects, because you're being like a hateful person. And before you realize it, you become more and more invested in this hatred. And like for even normal people who also might agree with you in terms of like, being weirded out by trans people existing or whatever, even they think you're weird because they're like, okay, bro, like chill out. Nobody wants to hear you talk about trans people every fucking day. Okay. That's it. Turf brain is so wild to me because like, how do you look at someone chilling literally often within the binary of societal gender norms and somehow they're all mentally unwell the whole time? They're done full crackhead mode looking like Charlie Day on a stringboard meme. Yeah. Sancho, really funny take though. I liked it. I loved it. Banned for using the T word on Twitch. Apparently that's a derogatory term. Next time I'll use a mental health disorder. Nick, mate, I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say the only we support is lager, Greg's, beans and toast. To hell with these woke tossers. Chin up, shoulder back, a couple stellas, and you'll be live again before you know it. Plymouth. This is not an actual oi, bro. It's Sancho V's chat. He's memeing. Why do you think he isn't gone, completely gone on the turf side? Oh no, he is. He has like deteriorating transphobia brain. He's already on like a later stage of it where he's constantly talking about trans people and like actually incurring like financial punishments for it at this point. The next stage is basically when you start transvestigating people. Okay. Once you're in the transvestigation stage, that's my favorite stage, by the way, of transphobia. You become like completely insane. You're like hallucinating. You're seeing trans people in every corner. You start suspecting people that are otherwise cis of being trans. And then the final stage of transvestigation is when you start thinking that your parents might be trans. I'm not even joking. There are entire Facebook groups dedicated to this kind of like brain rot where people are legitimately always transvestigating people around them, talking about their experience about how like they think the cash register, the cashier at like their local Ralph's is actually trans and how that like fucked up their day. So yeah. How you know all that? Because I'm an advocate, and also I don't know. I mean, I do political commentary, and I try to get people to not have certain positions and see a different alternative viewpoint, almost professionally, I would say it. And as a consequence of that, I've seen so many different variants of this kind of attitude throughout my professional career. So I would say I'm a little bit knowledgeable about it, Maybe not the most knowledgeable, but pretty fucking knowledgeable overall.